All right, guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. This is episode number 369. And one thing we're going to talk about, our instructional topic, which we're going to dive into in a few minutes, is all about releasing the golf club. And here's the kicker. If you have to think about releasing the golf club, you're doing the wrong thing. Okay, so and trust me, we've all done it. But what's so interesting about this, and we talked about this on a previous episode, about how much that golf swing happens, that downswing, in literally a millisecond. I mean, it is I think they measured it at 0.3 seconds. It is something that becomes impossible for the brain to send the signals to the body of what to do. So how do you change that? How do you release the club if you can't say, send the right signals to your brain to do it? Well, it all comes down to getting your body doing the right things in the right sequence so that you can naturally release the club.
Okay.
Right. So there's certain things that you can do. And we've talked so many times on the show about certain things having to do with your setup, fundamentals, getting set in the right position. I think we recently had Kevin Sprecher in here, and he said something so smart. He said one of his original mentors had told him he's seen a lot of bad swings from a good setup, but he's never seen a good swing from a bad setup. Okay. So you have to be able to put yourself in a good setup so that you can swing the club and make things happen. So we're going to talk about the things that you need to do to make sure that these things are happening in your swing so that you will naturally start to release the club. And because if you don't release the club, we know what happens. That club face is wide open, the ball goes for a righty way right, and it's a disaster.
Absolutely. And for our newer golfers out there, it does not mean literally letting go of the club. I just want to make that clear.
I could say, I've released my fair share of golf clubs after bad shots.
Right. All right. So I just want to get that out of the way.
That's exactly it. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. We also are going to give you guys a quick update on what we have going on. Of course, it's exciting to be back out on the golf course. Springtime, one of my favorite times of the year, just getting out there and just experiencing the fresh air again. So we've been back on the course. We've been recording some great videos for you guys. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube or on Facebook Watch, we put all our videos there. And we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming for you guys real soon. But what do you say, Mike? Want to get right into our Twitter tapping? Let's do a quick word from our sponsors and then jump right into the Twitter tapping.
Yeah, let's do it. So This episode is sponsored by Titleist. All right, so who has seen our recent ball fitting video, or even better, our Titleist ball plant tour video? Now we're going back a couple years. It's amazing what goes into making the number one ball in golf. It really is. The new Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X feature longer distance, what we're all looking for, softer feel, which we might be looking for.
I love a softer feel.
I know you love it. It's all you talk about.
That's my thing.
It's his thing, man.
Yeah.
And increased control. That's key right there. So what's new about it, Mike? Right? That's what you're saying. What's new? Tell us what's new. Well, the new Pro V1 and Pro V1X have been completely reimagined from the core to the cover. New aerodynamic cover, casing layer, core technologies, longer distance. Like I said, softer feel, even more green side spin and control. We want the ball to stop when it hits that green. We want it to spin. We want more control. Now, the difference between the two, Pro V1X, which I play, they deliver that low, long game spin, and they offer a higher trajectory. Frank plays the Pro V1. That gives you that low, long game spin as well, but it gives you a more penetrating trajectory.
A little bit lower trajectory. Yeah.
Right, which is great for your game, and that's why we go get fitted. So check it out. Check them all out at Titleist.com or pick yourself up a dozen for yourself today. Always bring your best. And second, I want to thank FootJoy. It's that time of the year we break out all the freshies.
Yeah, you bet.
We got these shoes that we were just waiting to break out. FootJoy, they set the standard for golf shoe performance and style. And in 2021, they just launched this new Premier series inspired by golf shoes of the past, so it gives you that little bit of that old retro look, but they're supercharged for today's game, so it adds that modern sport feel. These were designed in collaboration with some of the world's best players, guys like Justin Thomas, Adam Scott, Max Homa. They all had their hand in the design, and the Premier series, which I cannot wait to wear at Pinehurst next month, they feature these classic styling with these premium waterproof leather. It's amazing. Waterproof leather, great details that exude craftsmanship all the way throughout. Classy look with that sport feel. That's what we're going for here. And that's complemented by the state-of-the-art comfort in their Versatrax outsole. So they've nailed the comfort game. The look is sharp and they're waterproof. That retro look with the modern feel. Guys, check it out. Check out the whole Premier series at footjoy.com.
Yeah, definitely. When you're looking at your spring look, you got to give the Premier series a look. It's some great stuff. All right, so Talking Twitter tap in. So before we get into our instructional segment, this is a segment we like to do. If you're new to the show, this is something we like to do as often as we can, almost every single week, where we get you guys involved in the conversation. That's one of our favorite things to do. And we do that through the Twitter tap in. If you're not already following us on Twitter, make sure you follow us at Golficity so you can weigh in. And thank you to everybody who did weigh in. This week we asked, and we wanted you to be honest. We said, how often do you give your golf clubs a good cleaning? We said right there, be honest. And I'll tell you what, Mike,
We got
a lot of responses here, and I commend you guys. I think you're better even than us because you guys are good about cleaning your golf clubs.
Got a lot of
You
people
see
like
some
to
of these
clean 'em.
responses?
Yeah.
Rob says every round, but I'm OCD about it. Let's see here. Cameron Fenwick said after every round and every practice session. And you know what? You're smart for doing it because I mean we did something recently on a video where we kind of tested some clean grooves and some dirty grooves. Remember that? And you can just see it's a performance difference. So yes, of course your clubs look nice and fresh, but it actually does make a performance difference. So you're smart
definitely
about
does.
it.
Absolutely. And Josh says spit and towel after each shot, and then a good deep clean at the end of the season.
There you go. And Ed D'Souza similarly, he says, wipe them down after every shot. I like to wipe down the grip down with a damp towel before each shot. Makes the feel of the grip more sticky, so the sticks are pretty clean.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's stop here. What's your standard process? Do you do hot water with soap bucket type thing and let them sit?
Yeah, so and as far as frequency, I'll do a wipe down after a round or before a shot. I like to keep a towel, just dip half of it in water so you've got a little half wet side and just whatever. But as far as a deep clean, usually maybe once a week, once every other week. Very simple process. I'm fortunate enough that I've got one of those big slop sinks in my house, right? So what I'll do is I'll just fill that thing about halfway up with warm soapy water. I'll throw all the irons in there and let them just kind of sit for a minute, and then just a nice soft brush, just pull them out, brush off any dirt, dry them up good. One thing that I will say that I neglect, I don't clean my grips enough.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do we clean grips? Or are we supposed to?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that oil will build up. So, I mean, the simplest way is like kind of how Eddie described it is just to take a damp cloth and wipe them off.
Easy enough.
I don't think you should be using any type of, real dish soap or anything on there. You can dry them out. They can crack. But just a little bit of that, just take some of that oil from the hands off. But, yeah, that's about me. That's how I'll do it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give him a good clean this weekend because we're playing from the tips next Tuesday.
Yes, we are. We are. Some of the other ones, Jason Meyer says after every shot. Yep. Jamie says before every round I play, and I like that too. It can become part of your ritual, come part of the build up and the excitement. Especially if you're the type of guy who gets out there maybe once a week or once every other week. It's a fun process and a fun moment. So like the night before, you get the clubs out and you get them clean, you get ready to go. It kind of like mentally starts to prepare you for the round.
Yeah, it does.
Because you get mentally invested in it at that point, right?
That's it. I found myself the other day with one of those Mr. Clean white sponges cleaning my shoes before the round. So this is what we do. We get our gear in perfect condition. I agree.
Carter says every Thursday afternoon while watching golf, got to get them clean for the weekend when I go out.
You put it on TV. You need something to watch while you're doing it. I like that.
There you go. And it's ritual, very ritual based. Curtis says, after every round and every practice session, can't afford new ones, so you got to take care of them. Hey, so true, man. You take care of your stuff, it lasts a whole lot longer. A whole lot longer. So, yeah, I mean, so many responses here, and you guys are really great about saying how often. I don't see very many people saying they neglect to clean them. And it just shows you how much everybody loves their clothes. Except Wild Bill says never. Never.
There you
just
go.
Straight up never. Don't clean them, whatever.
Don't care, whatever.
He's still got dirt on there from 3 years ago.
It's like when the caddy guys, at the cart barn guys are like, you want me to clean them up for you, sir? Nope. Just throw them in the cart. Right. Yeah, we're good.
And trust me, there are plenty of golfers out there who the only time their clubs get cleaned is when afterwards the guys wipe them down.
Right.
You know what I mean? You certainly don't get that at every course. Here you go. Mario says, by the way, you guys are guilty. Did you say this one earlier?
No, but I said we got called.
You guys are guilty of having dirty clubs in your What's in the Bag videos. I don't know, Mario. I'm going to call you right back out because take a look at my What's in the Bag from this year. I had those things sparkling.
He might be just referring to me. Mine were pretty filthy in that.
Then I'm going to call Mario out. He didn't watch it all the way through, buddy.
He did it. You should have just labeled me.
And I only know this because
But
I
I'm guilty.
literally spent that whole night before scrubbing those clubs. It's kind of like when you go and you get your suit dry cleaned because you know you're going for an interview. If I'm going to be putting my clubs in a what's in the bag video, you know I'm there scrubbing them
I
the
went
night
full
before.
dirty suit for that interview.
You had the shirt that just looks like a suit. You know what I mean? The
That's
bow
great.
ties on a
I'm
t-shirt.
thinking about yes, exactly.
That's you. Yeah, that's you.
Step Brothers wearing tuxedos to the interview.
Exactly. All right, so let's do another quick word from our sponsor, and then I want to talk about releasing the golf clubs because we've got some really good tips here that can really help and change the mindset. It's something that I've really been working on changing as well because trust me, when you try to like make it happen, sometimes you do some things. You're just making it worse. So first off, guys, talking about ShotScope. If you are in the market for a GPS device or a rangefinder this season, the cool news is that ShotScope has 3 great options for you. And what I like about everything that ShotScope puts out in the market is that it's all very price conscious. You're getting some of the best technology out there at prices that I just don't think you're going to find out there elsewhere. So first, if you're a GPS only guy, you just want that GPS on your watch, you got to check out the G3. It's only $179. It comes preloaded with, I think it's over, and I got to double check it because it just keeps going up and up. And it's over 20,000 golf courses that are preloaded on there. And I love that the accuracy is just so spot on. We have used it before. It'll give you great numbers to your hazards, front, back, middle. And it doesn't matter if you're on the side or wherever, it is going to readjust. It's going to be right there. And we've even checked it against a laser rangefinder, and you are right there within the yard or less. The new G3 and V3 series has we got a chance to talk to the ShotScope team about it. They've dramatically increased their GPS accuracy by putting the entire band is actually an antenna just for making sure that it's getting the right signals. So that would be the G3. Then if you want to take that next step up for only $219, you can go with the V3, which will give you all of the GPS that you get from the G3 plus the stat tracking. So there's going to be little nubs that you can put on the end of your clubs, and it's going to track every single shot. That's, if you guys listen to the show, we use that all the time to reference our stats and look at areas we're improving, areas where we need work. As amateur golfers, there are plenty of places. So that's what you can do. And plus the new one comes in a bunch of different great color choices. It's really great. And the other reason I say cost effective, it's not one of those things where it's $219, but then you've got to pay some sort of subscription fee. There is no subscription. You get the full use of all that data and the great app that comes with it. That's all included in that price. Then the other thing, if you're a laser rangefinder guy, ShotScope just came out with a new Pro L1 laser rangefinder. We had it on the course the other day. It's got all the features you'd expect from the top of the line rangefinders, but for only $200. I mean, this thing has got
Dude,
slow.
I enjoyed it the other day.
Yeah.
The ease of use and the vibration pin lock.
Pin lock, vibration, you've got your number. And like I said, the slope, it's all right there. And you can turn the slope on and off based on different rules that you're playing. So you got to check out all these products. Go to shotscope.com/Golficity. Like I said, no matter what you're in the market for, ShotScope's got something great for you, and they've got something at a great price. All right. And also we want to thank a new sponsor to the show is Golf Tech. And a common question, it's such a great fit. We're so grateful to add ShotScope to
Golf Tech.
Add Golf Tech to our list of sponsors because we get often asked. I mean, how often does it come in, Mike?
So much.
People saying, where should I get fit?
Right.
They see us getting
Where can
fit.
I take lessons?
Yep.
Who do you suggest?
Exactly. Right. Who do we suggest doing it? And we've been saying for a long time that a good fitter is worth its weight in gold. So you guys got to check out Golf Tech. They've got locations just throughout the country. And we've had the pleasure ourselves of having the experience of going in there and taking a skills assessment.
Yeah, that was fun.
It really was. If you guys didn't get a chance to check out that video, go check it out. And Golf Tech is offering our listeners the sweetest deal out there when it comes to both lessons and fittings. Get this. Are you ready for this? $75 for a swing evaluation or $75 for a club fitting at Golf Tech.
Sweet, dude.
Through the Golficity relationship. How cool is that? So first, the swing evaluation, basically it's your first lesson with Golf Tech. The coach is going to look at your entire swing. They're going to provide an analysis. They're going to let you know what's working, what's not working, and they're going to give you some initial instruction and build out a customized game plan for you. The club fitting, it's Golf GolfTech's unbiased club fitting system. It matches the ideal club shaft, which you guys have seen us do in our fittings. We're running through heads and shafts and stuff like that to find the combination that works, because every golfer is different. That's what they're going to do for you. They're going to take you through their tech fit process. They're going to guide you through it step by step with their knowledge. And it's cool. It's independent. They've got all the different major brands there. They're going to get you fit into the right thing. And
for $75.
$75.
Jeez.
And they got the launch monitor there to verify everything. Top of the line tech, some of the best fitters around, all there. And like I said, you guys have asked for it. Here's that answer. Go check out a GolfTech Get Fit. And what you can do is go to GolfTech, GolfTech.com/Golficity. You can learn more about how you can get the special price, book your lesson, book your fitting. GolfTech.com/Golficity. We'll, of course, put that in the show notes. But can't thank GolfTech enough for supporting the show, joining on as one of our newest sponsors for the show, but also coming in strong with this incredible offer for our listeners.
Take them up on it.
Take them up on it. You will not regret that. That's for sure. All right, let's talk about releasing the club. So as you said earlier, Mike, we're not talking about when we're not
chucking it.
Right. You shank that 7-iron into the water and the 7-iron quickly follows into the lake.
Right.
That is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the process of letting the club head turn over as you go through impact. So obviously the club head, as you're swinging down, it's going to be in that open position, because as you come back, the club face opens, but then you've got to be able to close that down as you come through the target line and come through impact. Without that, I mean, what's going to happen? And that club face is going to be wide open.
Right.
And we know what that disaster is going to be. It's good. I mean, you're filleting the ball out to the right for a righty golfer. So we just know it's important. You have to do that. And the release is part of the swing. In fact, I mean, if you Google or YouTube, release golf club, you're going to see literally an endless supply of videos, because it's such an important topic. It's such a hot topic. If that club does not release, forget about it. You're not doing anything that day.
Yeah. So if you don't release a golf club, you essentially, I should say, you're not coming through the ball with a closed club face and pushing the club to the top of your backswing. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So that club face, remember, if you think about it, as you bring the club back, that club face is going to open. It starts to open up, and that's where, the club face starts to point, away from the target line. It's got to come back down. It's got to roll over. Right. And it's got that club face has to close. But here's the thing. Like I said, a lot of where we go wrong is in the mindset of saying we have to almost remind ourselves and by manually close the club face at impact. And the problem is, as we said before, from the top of the backswing until impact, it takes exactly 0.3 seconds for the average golfer. Way too fast for you to have a thought and bring yourself through doing it. So the way you got to get yourself out of that mindset of manually releasing the club. Instead, there's some things you can do, as we talked about at the top of the show, to set yourself up in a position so that the rotation of your swing will cause that club face to naturally rotate closed. Right, square, I should say. Releasing it. That's what we call releasing, is rotating it in there. So first thing to do is, if you find that you're not releasing properly, and you see that basically where your shot shape and where things are going, you got to do a quick checkup on your fundamentals. We say this every week, I feel like.
Right.
But there's a few things that could, right off the bat, could be causing that. And the first, and this is why golf as a game becomes more difficult when we're under pressure. And pressure could be you're playing your buddy for money, or pressure could be that you're just not scoring the way you want to, and you want to be able to post a good score that day. And as you start to get more pressure, what happens? You get more tension.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. And when you get more tension, often that translates into the grip. The grip gets tighter and tighter. And if you hold that club too tight, what you're going to find is that you're restricting that movement. You're restricting the ability for the club face to release, because you're holding onto it so tight. We call it like
Makes sense.
a death grip, right? And it just doesn't have the ability to release. So that's why you hear the pros talk about it. You hear about going back to the days of Hogan teaching the game, talking about how important that light grip pressure was, because that light grip pressure is going to be one of those things that's going to naturally take the centrifugal force that you're creating. Don't forget, what the golf club essentially is it's a weight that's about 3 feet away from your body that you're swinging. And if you know anything about centrifugal force and physics, the further the weight gets away from your body, the more inertia and stuff it's going to create, right? That's why longer clubs will go further. That's one of the reasons, et cetera, et cetera. But if you loosen up that grip, you're going to allow that force that you're creating by rotating to just let it start to roll over, because the way the body works, it's just the hands are going to roll over and across. It actually becomes harder to hold them in a place where they're not rolling over, but a lot of that is tension. So first thing I want you to do, check your grip pressure, especially if you're playing under pressure. We've talked about before, pre-shot routine, great thing you can do. Just put a deep breath in there somewhere and just do a check and just make sure, is there anywhere where I'm holding on to tension?
Yeah, you could feel that as you address the ball.
Definitely can.
Especially if you're thinking about it.
And then the next thing would be rotational. Rotational swing. Golf, at the end of the day, it's a rotational game. So you want to make sure that you're rotating and not sliding. Now, remember what I said. The rotation you create is what's going to cause that club to release, because you're creating this rotational motion. As you start to find yourself sliding from side to side, you're actually losing a lot of that rotational. And also a slide is something that can create a lot of inconsistencies in the swing. So if you're sliding towards the target on the way down, there is not going to be enough rotational force to put that release into action. I mean, we worked on this with Kevin Sprecher.
Exactly what we worked on, right?
You got to work on this quite a bit because you were sliding.
I was sliding big time, and he taught me how to rotate more and kind of stay more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for?
Centered, right?
Centered,
so,
yep.
Right. And that's what a good rotation is. And a good way to focus on the fundamentals of rotation is trying to focus on your weight distribution and keeping that as centered as possible. Of course, you're going to load up to your right side and you're going to put more pressure there. But if you find your center of gravity is shifting, like for a righty, dramatically to the right, now you're swaying off the ball.
Yeah, and you know what's been the dramatic, I guess, result from all that, from working on it, is I'll notice in the sim, most of my shots now are hit pure on the feedback as opposed to slice.
Yeah.
So being more rotational, I'm actually making better contact and I'm getting through the ball and I'm hitting a more pure shot.
And that club face is releasing more square.
Exactly. There you go.
Because that's what happens when you start to slide away from it. You're losing the rotational force that it takes for that club face to turn over.
Right.
That's another way people talk about turning the face over. That happens when you have that rotational force that rotates and it turns it over. It almost happens like now. If you think about it, if you try to not think about it and just take it even if you swing it like waist high, you'll just see that it'll just naturally will turn over. You don't have to think about, well, now's the moment when I have to trigger my arms.
Right.
You don't have to do that if you just let the arms kind of flow naturally, that looseness in the grip, and just rotating in your center, not sliding all around, rotating across your center. So a good way to do that, like I said, keep your weight focused. I love the trick that Kevin did with you in the video where he was showing moving that kind of the hip back. Yep. Simple stuff. We did it. We did this with Golf Tech where they talked about taking your back right pocket and just moving it back and sliding that across the wall.
Yeah, that's the one thing Brian, the fitter there, the first thing he pointed out. He goes, you're not rotating in your swing. Right. So he pointed out that little pocket trick. Right.
So guys, quickly recapping. A grip, not too much grip pressure, making sure you have a grip that's loose enough that the club can release and turn over. And secondarily, making sure you're focusing on your fundamentals of rotation, because that is what's going to ultimately create the force that it takes to rotate that club all the way to square. And then another thing is not holding back. I think this is another thing that comes with pressure. When do we see ourselves? We did episodes on decelerating. When do we decelerate?
When do we decelerate? You mean what part of the swing?
No, what moments, what happens what causes us to decelerate? What's one of the biggest things? If you ask me, I'm going to tell you that it's when I don't trust the shot.
Okay, sure.
I'm going to decelerate. If I in some way hold back.
You're not holding the right club or something doesn't feel right, you hold back.
Something where it creates this confidence misfire where you just hold back. And think about it. If a good powerful rotation is going to cause that club face to release. What's going to happen if you hold back? You're going to kill some of that, and that club won't have the momentum that it needs to release.
I feel like I do that when I say to myself, just try to hit a light 7-iron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you try to take some off it. So.
Right. I would rather see a situation where you rotate less in order to take, like if you don't want, let's say you want to do a 3/4 swing or something like that, maybe don't rotate as far or whatever, but don't hinder your rotation unnaturally by holding back. Commit to whatever level of rotation that you're doing is basically what I'm saying. So, because if you do hold back, what you're going to do is you're going to slow down that rotation, and instead of turning all the way through with confidence, which is what ultimately lets that club head release, you're going to slow up and you're going to try to guide the club to the ball, and that rarely ends well.
Right.
If you play baseball, we always use the analogy of like a pitcher. When you try to like steer and guide the ball, you end up you way off target.
Right.
What a good pitcher's gonna do, and a good pitcher is not necessarily thinking of releasing the ball and like, where am I going to release the arm? What they're doing is they're generating a lot of power with a good big rotation using their legs.
Right.
And then what'll happen is that centrifugal force will bring that arm way out, and then the ball will just release off of the hand.
There you go. Okay.
You're not having to like time the release, because we talk about, inconsistencies and playing more consistent golf. And a lot of it comes down to just not relying less on timing and relying more on just the mechanics.
Got it. Yep.
So that's an important one. And I think the last thing would be just to give a quick check of your equipment. This is one of the huge reasons why for years we've been an advocate of getting fit. There are things that a good fitter will recognize if they see that you're not releasing. There are some physical equipment barriers that might be holding you back. I think one of them is going to be grip size. Everyone has different size hands. So a good fitter is going to look at different grip sizes and give you some different options. If your grip size is not quite matching your hand size properly, it can really hinder your ability to release that club, especially let's say if your grips are too thick, it can be hard to release and kind of roll the hands the way they should naturally roll. Another thing is shaft flex. If you get clubs, it's too stiff, it can be hard to release the club, loading and unloading the club. So that's where the expertise of a good fitter is going to come in. They're going to be able to do that. They're going to basically give you the tools that will maximize for your personal swing the ability to make these things happen. So a lot of ways that we think about it is having the clubs work with you instead of against you.
I like it.
I
like it.
So that's why that club fitting really is a wise investment for your game.
We totally agree with that. We know that. But it seems like this all boils down to this release is being pretty tricky.
Well, I think where we need to decomplicate it is by stop thinking so much about this manual override release.
Right.
And instead say, if I focus on my fundamentals, and these are true golf fundamentals, a great grip, grip pressure's right.
Yep.
Rotating instead of sliding, and then just making sure you're not holding back and you're committing to the shot with the bonus of having the right equipment in your hand. Now the release is going to happen for you a lot more naturally without having to apply the thought to doing it.
Yeah. I like it.
Right. So just put yourself in a position to make that great swing, and you'll see. Now, if you do anything, commit to those things. Try it on the range. Say, I'm going to loosen up my grip pressure, get the right grip pressure. I'm going to focus on rotating, not sliding. I'm going to make a good committed rotation. I'm not going to think about releasing. See what happens. See if you naturally release that club. Because if you do, I can almost guarantee you that it's going to be.
Yeah.
If not, there might be some other, there's a lot of little nuances in each individual swing. We're trying to give you some of the most fundamental basics that we've been working on. That's where, it might be a good idea to see a professional, and get a good lesson if you're still struggling with it. But I want you to try that first. Try setting up all those things, check off all those boxes, make a good committed swing, and see what happens.
Sounds like an easy process you could do.
It certainly is a freeing experience to not have to think your way through. Like you're so that's where the nerves come in. I'm so nervous. I got to release this club at just the right time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead, just commit to the shot. Because also that release is where you start to get less and less committed to the shot because you're hesitant, because you're trying to time something that's almost untimable. It's too fast to time.
Right.
It really is. So that's the most important takeaway here is, like I said, I want to get people out of the mindset of always focusing on this timing of release. Instead, set yourself up that you are able to make a good release possible through good setup. So, but if you got some of your own tips for us, if something has worked for you, if there's a drill or some sort of mindset or something you've put in your pre-shot routine that's helped you to get a more consistent release, more consistent squaring of the club face and releasing it through impact, let us know. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, drop it in the comments. Otherwise, lots of ways to get a hold of us. You could DM us. You can, of course, drop a comment on golficity.com. Wherever you're watching your podcast, there's a lot of ways to get a hold of us, but we always listen to you guys too. Don't forget, we're not instructors. We're not pros. We're learning as we go. So we learn a lot from you. And the stuff we talk about here each week is the stuff that we're working on. Mm-hmm. We're certainly not saying we're experts in this, but we're saying we've put the time into trying to learn it, what's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's everything we have for you this week. You can get to the show notes by going to golficity.com/episode 369, or of course in the Golficity app. If you haven't already download it for iOS or Android. You can even get your all of your notifications when we drop a new episode. So everything will be there for you. And of course, we'll have more of great instructional content and some really great interviews coming up for you guys real soon. We'll see everybody again next week.